Hello, my friends. Thanks for opening. Did you know that our body still contains life force after our awareness, our consciousness, our soul, whatever you want to term our awareness, is out of our body, is gone? In other words, we would consider ourselves dead at that point, but we can't consider our body dead at that point. Our carcass heats up after we leave it because the cells are using their life force to try and stay alive. And the bacteria that's present in our body is still alive. And if we are not embalmed in the decomposition process, there's tremendous transformation happening of the materials of our body into other forms. And that is life force. The life force is the continual transformation of the elements of this planet into other forms. I thought I would just use us as a opener, because as they explained that, I was like, oh, that's kind of gross. I mean, I do know about decomposition. We just don't think it applies to us, right? Anyway. So they said that, for example, when you look at a tree, just one tree, it has so much other life in terms of forms in the tree: caterpillars, birds, insects, blossoms of the tree itself that you might not realize are the tree blossoming. There's just so much life in a tree. And so even when a tree is cut down, like our body, when we think that we're dead by our definition, and the tree is severed from its roots, there's a tremendous amount of life still taking place in the decomposition of a tree. Now, most of us know that the life force is exchanged through eating, right? I mean, that's an easy way to see how something else is transformed into our body or transferred into our body. So that was one way that they were talking about the life force. And the other thing that came up in this meditation was that we use the measurement of time, but the earth herself is a progressive, continuously transformative process that measures through the seasons, her aspects to the sun, to the other planets. She doesn't have a wristwatch. Time, and we can define life force as not even connected to time, although that's hard for us to imagine. But it came through in the meditations that there are progressive realities throughout universe that have life, but do not have the force of time, the impetus of time. Which kind of brings me to my next question that I wanted to know about life in general. I wanted to know, what was this impetus for humans to reproduce? I mean, we think of the animal kingdom and the trees and the plants, and we understand how they all want to survive. But what happens at this time of the year particularly, which is always a little bit disturbing to me because I feed the birds and I see the bird families, and the birds bring their little ones and feed them and teach them where the feeders are. And it's just so darn cute. I can't stand it. But what is this exuberant impetus to reproduce? Well, in the design of the life force, there has to be enough forms to transfer the elements to other forms. So the elements being earth, air, fire, and water. But I mean, we can easily see this now in the oceans because they're warming, and the food supply for certain whales are not available where the ocean is too warm. So they're actually migrating now north to try and find cooler waters and some fish to eat. So nature has an exuberance of life, an excess of life, to make sure that the forms can always transfer elements to each other. Also, it came through that life force could be considered as the fifth element here. There's earth, air, fire, and water, and ether. The theosophists called ether. I'm sorry, I have a kitty in here who's chiming into this conversation. You'll hear her. Siamese are very talkative. Ether, we can consider life force as ether as the fifth element here. So I thought that was fun. But why would people reproduce themselves so self-destructively, it seems here, and to destroy the planet? Well, part of that is this impetus of life. You know, once I did some mediumship for a woman who had lost two children, both to the same, I don't know whether it was a flu or a infection of some kind, but she lost both of her children. And then she went on to have two more children. Now, she had the photographs of the original two up on the wall, and she did consider them as part of her family too, her heavenly family, along with her live children. But in my mind, I was saying, how could she do that? How could she have the strength to give birth to two more children after losing two children at the same time? And she said, you know, it's life. It's just life. So that was part of my question about what is this impetus to reproduce? And it's because humans, we don't like to think of ourselves as animals with animal instincts. But I mean, we know we're mammals, right? But we really don't think we're subject at all, even though we're enmeshed in this density and swimming in life here. You know, we think we're different. And yet this overpopulation is in the design of life so that, of course, we're not subject to predation, at least not by lions. Tigers or bears, actually, I guess we are. But it also came through in this meditation that humans are an invasive species, that we're not really from the earth. We're from star systems. And that's seen in the extra chromosomes that we have. So that even though we're in bodies that are made of the earth's materials, we're not entirely indigenous, which means of this place. So let me just glance at my notes and make sure that I got everything. Yeah, I mean, we've all seen on TV the wildebeests when a crocodile is eating them and they're still kicking long after they possibly could be alive. Well, that is the life force that's causing those, I don't know what the scientific word would be for it, but the life force is still present, even though the wildebeest is not experiencing that. And I know that from humans that I've worked with that have died tragic deaths, and they did not feel, or they were not present for the effects that actually caused their physical death. I've heard that over and over in my years of being a medium. And so the wildebeest is also out of body for most of that. But the anatomic nervous system, is still powered by life, right? So I just want to wrap this up with, the other day I was in the barn doing a project. I was very focused, as I tend to be. And one of the dogs was barking out back, but barking a lot. It's like, yeah, there's something here. So always worrying that it's a porcupine, I stopped and I went out and I took a look. And at first I couldn't figure out what I was looking at. It was a female moose with her head low to the ground. And all I could see was this giant, like mahogany, rich browns, dark browns. And I thought to myself, nobody has a horse that color around here. Even if a horse had gotten loose, I mean, it would be a giant horse, right? And it was a exquisitely beautiful moose, not that far away. So I ran to get my husband. We didn't get a camera. It was more important that he see this magnificent creature. And seeing a moose for us here, I always say, is like seeing God. And I think the reason for that is that there is so much life force in these large animals. I'm trying to shush the kitty. So much. In fact, there's a lot of life in her. Maybe I'll pick her up. Hang on. Here's some life force. Anyway. So until I see you again, my friends, please be well and please be blessed. All right. I hope to see you sooner. It really has been a crazy, really busy time of the year here on the farm. Thanks for coming. Bye-bye.